Now, as we pick back up in Galatians, we're coming into the section where, of course, it's talking about standing fast, therefore, in the liberty by which we have in Christ, and that's over in Galatians chapter 5. Last week, we were talking about this liberty that we have in Christ and to stand firm in that, and it relates to the freedom that we have from the law. We don't live by law. We live above the law. We live out as sons, as ones who are mature, and that's what it's talking about. And then he goes on in verse 2, that is, Paul goes on to talk about the fact that circumcision has no profit. If you're going to be circumcised, then you're putting yourself under the law, and Christ has no profit to you because you're not living by grace. Those who are circumcised, in verse 3, he goes on to say, they're debtors to the whole law. And of course, this was what they were dealing with. Jews were coming down from Judea and saying that you had to be circumcised in order to be saved. But Paul never taught that. Paul, not once did he ever teach that. Those who are doing this and living by law, they are ones who are, well, they translate it, remember, as estranged in the New King James, estranged from Christ. But your word estranged literally means to be rendered idle. You're not functioning from who you are in Christ because you're living by law. You who attempt to be justified by law, you have fallen from grace. You're not living by grace. Now, again, this is not a losing of one's salvation. This is a failure to use the salvation that you possess. And you need to start using it because you can't do that through law. I mean, because the reality of law, and that is the Mosaic law, or really any do not law, the reality of that is it gives our sin nature strength. We don't have freedom from our sin nature under law, but in Christ we have freedom from our sin nature. Okay. Over in Romans chapter 8 and verse 2, it talks about the law that we live by. And the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has set me free from the law of sin and death. So this is the standard. And remember, the word law does not always mean do not.